Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much, Lambros, for joining me. Happy New Year, everyone, as I'm almost certain, unless I'm really productive publishing this, which I don't think I will be, this will be published in 2026. So Happy New Year to everyone, and I hope you had a great New Year's. And I'm very excited that this is the way to kick us off. This is a series where I talk to a lot of the people where I soak up a lot of the knowledge throughout the community. And when it comes to platform product management, Lambros is absolutely the guy that I'm first to reach out to. So one of our platform engineering community ambassadors talked at PlatformCon. Basically, we'll talk at everything, hopefully going forward. He and I are working on some pretty cool stuff in the platform product management space together. That's lots of more educational content, courses, articles. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Really on the topic of platform product management, for anyone who's been active in our space over the last few years, you'll probably remember in 2022, which was not that long ago, but also an eternity ago, the mantra was really, you need to grill your engineering team, your platform engineering team, get them all thinking about platform as a product. There wasn't really the sense that you needed a dedicated product manager role. In fact, people would almost scoff at that idea back in 2022. It was very much so, no, all of your platform engineers, no matter how engineering minded they are, they need to start being product management people. Surprise, surprise. I think, Lambros, you could probably agree. We kind of knew that wasn't going to work. And as we've seen over the last few years, that mindset has shifted. There's been a kind of a wider understanding around the industry and the community. You need dedicated product people. The whole team should be thinking about platform as a product, but you really need that dedicated product skill set to really help drive it, especially at a high level and especially at very mature enterprises. And the data shows that. I've just finished writing and recently published the State of Platform Engineering Volume 4. So we've done this every year. And this year, the numbers are incredibly telling. It's about 38% of teams, don't have a PPM. They just think about, okay, our platform engineers need to have this product mindset. But 37% of teams, just about, have a dedicated product manager role driving their product organization within their platform team. This is a gigantic shift from where we were last year. We didn't even publish this question in its data last year because the data was so inconclusive. There were so few teams that had PPMs. Most people didn't even know what we were talking about when we asked them. That's a gigantic shift in 1 year. And I think it really shows in some of the conversations that we're having, a lot of the work that we're doing. So usually, I don't do such a long intro. I jump straight into the questions. But I think on this topic, I needed to spend a little bit of time to really set that context for people. But now enough for me. Let's jump straight into it. So, Lambros, really just to set the stage for when we start, what is platform product management?
Yeah, first of all, thanks, Sam, for having me. Great to be here. Of course, yeah, I think so. Platform PM, can mean a lot of things. I think we have to kind of first define what platform means in this context, right? So platform here means typically your IADP, right? So your internal developer platform. So the infrastructure that your product sits on and all the internal products that support your developer journeys and developer jobs, right? Sometimes this includes data as well, right? Machine learning or Kafka or whatever. Now, it turns out that getting your IDP right is pretty important. It's actually mission critical, right? And if you want to stay competitive, you have to get that IDP right. It's really a force multiplier to achieving your company's vision and mission. Now, platform PM's job is that really, is getting the IDP right? And everything that is entailed with this. So you apply product management thinking or product management on IDP, and the IDP is your product as platform PM. It could be the whole IDP or parts of it, but yeah, this is pretty much it. You're responsible making sure that the IDP best serves your company vision.
So I'm going to do something that I never usually do. You know, the nature of these interviews is really focused on the content itself. But I think when it comes to platform product management, it isn't too common really to have someone be doing this for the amount of time that you have. And I'm pretty curious about how you actually got into this role, what the journey was, what that story is. So I'd love to just delve a little bit into your background and how you actually became a platform product manager. Like, how did you get into this space?
Yeah, for sure. It's a funny one actually. So I'm from Germany originally. I was working for Mercedes-Benz in my hometown. It was a pretty common career. And I moved to Seattle in the US because Mercedes-Benz opened a tech hub over there. And this was about 10 years ago now. And yeah, I was supposed to be the product manager for in-car entertainment. So okay, that sounds exciting. That sounds fun. So I left everything, got the visa, 6 months process, moved here, and then the head of product told me, actually, we have a platform team here, infrastructure automation, I think it was called. They need a PM badly. How about you work on that instead? So I'm like, so yeah, I really had to kind of get into the weeds, had to understand a lot about like Kubernetes, CI/CD, just spent months just upscaling heavily. But yeah, it was pretty much unplanned on accident, but I loved it. I love to be at that intersection, right, of tech and product. And yeah, it wasn't planned, but it worked out great for me, I think.
It's interesting. I mean, it seems quite ahead of the curve for Mercedes, really. Now, I assume all of the terminology was different. Like it probably wasn't called. Was it called PPM? Was the team called a platform engineering team?
No. I mean, I think it was first called a DevOps team, which is sort of an anti-pattern. Then it was called an infrastructure automation team. I was a product owner, actually, not a product manager. Platform as a product was just emerging. There wasn't a lot of content out there. So if I think about what I knew back then, yeah, it wasn't a lot, right?
Different world.
Yeah, 100%. And we were not very mature, but I think you're right. I mean, it definitely was really forward thinking, right? If you think about it, like the head of product back there was definitely a thought leader, right? And he saw that there was this need for someone that makes sure that this infra team works on the most impactful stuff, right? And actually have success metrics and define success and look on outcome, right? So yeah, I think that was really thought leading.
So I'm curious then for you. You know, you had product management experience beforehand. You were an experienced product manager. It was a world you understood quite well. Like, what are the big differences once you're having to think about this platform product side of things? You know, now you're dealing with internal customers rather than thinking about external customers. Like, what actually changes there in your day to day, in the things that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, let's start with what is actually quite common, right? So with the shared elements, I think that helps a lot. So you pretty much need the same mindset and skill set. So your job as platform PM is to identify the biggest problems, right? And the biggest opportunities that are worth solving. You think about, where's the biggest ROI? What can we do to best support the company strategy and vision? You think about how can we create a great experience for our customers slash developers? How do we measure success? So all of these questions is the same thing any PM out there, right, tries to answer. I think the main differences are kind of, as you said yourself, is like the product, the customer, and also the impact means, right? So the customers, obviously, yes, ultimately, everything you do is for the end customer that uses your company's product. But you have this intermediate step where you use platform PM, serve your developers so they can build the best possible product, right? And the customers, obviously, here are your colleagues, which is quite different. If you could, in theory, talk to every customer you have, right? That is actually quite unique. Also, they are captive, right? And that also means for your product, it's a lot of times not optional. There isn't always this free market, right? So this makes it all challenging. Adoption is a terrible metric, to measure, right? If it's mandatory to use. And I think, yeah, also the product itself, it's of course technical and really hard to define. If you think about, the developer journey, like from IDE to, build to release to, to operations. So what's the product here? It's not that clearly defined. And yeah, I think another big difference is like what impact means. If you are a traditional PM, yes, you think about, like the classic, like, customer lifetime value, retention, the funnel, you think about revenue, profit. Now, for platform PMs, that is its own big question. How do you actually define what impact means for us? Is it, innovation ratio? Is it developer experience? Is it productivity? How to quantify that? That is difficult. So I think because it is so ambiguous and unclearly defined, this actually makes you very strong PM, because you have to really go back to first principles and think, okay, what does impact mean for us? So it's a great way to become a strong PM, I think, platform.
Because I guess, in the conversations that I've had, it's interesting to hear you say that point. You can talk to all of your customers, which has its pluses and has its minuses. You can interview all of them sometimes, not all the time. And that blurry line is something that people struggle with a lot. I mean, I want to focus a bit on that individual journey point, there's probably a lot of product managers listening to this who are probably seeing some of the data, seeing this, hey, this is maybe an interesting twist on the career, or they see the benefits of going into a more technical, different kind of role. I mean, what would your advice be to a product manager who kind of is experienced in the product management in a more standard sense? What would your advice for them going into the platform space be?
Right. So, I mean, I think it's one of the most fun, exciting jobs out there. I may be biased, but I really believe so, right? So you get the breadth of a PM and the depth of an engineer in one job. That is really unique, and I think it's amazing. I really enjoy that. But yeah, it's also really challenging, right? So I think if you're thinking about getting into the platform PM world, just make sure you know really what you're getting into, right? Talk to a few platform PMs, like watch this conversation, or go out, do a bit of research. And also depending on what your product is, right? Like IDP is a huge field. Is it cloud platform? Is it CI/CD? Is it developer portal? It could be many things. But do a bit of homework, and let's say think about or read about like how do we actually measure developer experience, or the Google SRE handbook is also a great one, and read about that stuff and figure out, do you like that? Do you want to learn more, right? Do you like to understand how engineers work? Do you like to understand how things are built under the hood, right? How infrastructure works? Do you like thinking about reliability, distributed systems, right? If that's a yes, if you love this stuff, then yeah, that's the job for you, right? And I think also before you get into it, I'm not saying you should be an engineer or you have to be an engineer or do the engineering work, but I think you have to be able to dog food your product a little bit, right? So let's say if you take on a job as a platform PM for cloud platform, maybe set up a local cluster on your machine and see if you can do that or if you like it. Or if you are the PM for, DevX or, the release process, then maybe, make a change locally and push it to Git and GitHub and see what happens, right? Do you like this stuff? Can you do it? Do you enjoy it? So yeah, I'm not saying you have to be an engineer, but I think you have to be able to understand how developers work and have to be able to get your hands dirty and do this yourself a little bit, right? I think this is really, really important.
Yeah, and I think it's that point of interest. If it's something that interests you, then it's something that you're going to be able to delve into. And I think especially in this period that we're in now, where things can be a bit unclear, where I won't say making stuff up as we go along. We're figuring out this journey at lots of organizations. IDP means a lot of things in a lot of different orgs. It covers a whole wide bucket. And if you are someone who has zero interest in ever even thinking about anything remotely engineering related, this is not the journey. I guess my question would be, in your experience, how technical have you needed to be?
This is a big debate that we always having, right? Even if we're hiring new PMs, like it's hard to get both, right? It's really hard to find talent that is a really strong product, has a strong product sense, and is technical at the same time. So honestly, I don't have a great answer for you. For me, it does depend a little bit on the product itself, but you have to be able to create a mental model of that technical domain you're working on, right? And I think you have to be fluent with engineers. So you have to speak their language. Now, I have hired PMs that were kind of very much at the beginning, but they were really fast learners and got to there very, very fast, right? I've also, heard from colleagues that there were PMs that didn't perform that well because there was technical depth missing, right? I think as long as you have the motivation to learn this stuff fast, you are fine, right? But yeah, I think you have to be able to understand what your product does, like how it works, maybe use it as well. And you have to be able to talk to your engineers, like your product team, right? And speak the language, really. This is, I think, really important.
No, absolutely. I'm curious then to zoom in a bit on, coming into a new org, because I think it's clear to anyone listening here that there's a lot of differences across lots of different organizations. The platform team at one company is completely different to the platform team at another company, almost certainly. So what do you do then as a new platform product manager coming in? Say you're switching roles, you're coming into a new organization. Where do you even start?
Right, yeah. And that's a good one. I mean, it depends a lot on the company's product maturity in the platform space. So in my experience, a lot of times the platform PM does not come in and get, a seat at the table by default. Like influence comes with trust. So you won't start a new job and they say, "Hey Sam, help us. We are lost. There's no roadmap. Help us what to do next, right? You are the PM. Help us to tell us what to do next." Not gonna happen. You're gonna come in and there are lots of opinions already. There's a packed roadmap already with things to do, right? And why should they believe you, right? So I think the first thing is you have to really build a strong foundation of trust with the engineering leaders, staff engineers, and so on. And make quick wins. And your currency, of course, is insights, right? So you spend time on understanding, talking to your customers, understanding what success looks like, looking what's happening outside the industry, how we measure success, and so on. And you come in with those insights, and yeah, you have to gain that. I think a lot of times in traditional PM, that seat is just there for you. You sit down, everyone knows what to do, what to expect from you. Platform PM, not so much. You have to carve out this role a little bit as you go, right? I think another kind of advice I would give folks in the new role is like, make sure you stick to what you were hired for. So a lot of times I see, you have platform PMs and the P is product, okay? So your job is to identify the problem we should work on next, to think about strategy, think about vision, right? The what. A lot of times what happens is that platform PMs solely morph into like program managers or, assistants to the engineering leaders or something, right? Remind yourself what your role is, right? And stick to it. It could be a bit of an uphill battle sometimes, but this is really important. And also don't assume, another important one actually, if you start a new platform PM job, don't assume your team knows what your role is. So a lot of times platform engineering teams haven't worked with PMs before, or recently only, right? So they don't even know what the role of the PM is. So don't assume you come in and know that's your job, right? Spend some time on explaining to your colleagues what a product manager actually does, right? And they will love to work with you, but they have to understand how you work and how you think about this, right? I think this is really important. Don't underestimate that educational piece there.
I think the educational side is so important. it's starting to change a little bit more as the industry gets mature. But 9 out of 10 times when I talk to kind of platform leaders over the last few years, it's like, what's your biggest problem? And it was like, my whole team has a completely different definition for everything. Like they all are defining platform engineering differently. They're all defining what we're doing differently. Some people say platform and mean backstage. Some people say platform and mean Kubernetes. Some people say platform and actually mean what we're talking about. And is that something that you would see within the remit of the PPM? They should be helping kind of fix those shared language problems.
100%. Yeah, this is for me a key. I mean, yeah, you could argue it's not, right? But I think for your own sanity, I think, you're coming in and you're suffering the most from this confusion. And I think a PM job is also to bring clarity about terms, about what impact means, about who we are, what we offer, right? Definitely this is part of a PM job. Yeah, so I always did that. Just getting a sense for where the levels are. And sometimes maybe the engineering leaders, they get what a PM does, but then the team itself is confused. They don't know, right? So make sure you kind of host like an all hands or something and say, hey, that's product, that's program, that's project, that's engineering, right?
Yeah.
This is how we work together. This is what my role is. Hold me accountable for the what. If you don't know why you're doing this, that's my failure. You should ask me, right? If you question the priority of the roadmap, that's my failure. Ask me. I should have told this. I should have explained this to you. You know what I mean? Like, I think also be accountable for that and challenge people to challenge you as the product manager. Right.
I think that right there is really, I think, some of the best advice for anyone listening to this to take with you as you're going into a new role in the platform product management space is really thinking about that there. 99% chance we're going to write an article based on exactly that, those quotes right there, because it's so bang on. So I'd like to just zoom in a little bit more on the advice space, because you talk about kind of, and we talked about some of the stuff we were going to discuss, but you've inspired me to zoom in a little bit more on this. I think the quick wins topic is something that's often hard for people to wrap their heads around a little bit. And so I'd love for you to share how you approach thinking about a quick win at the beginning.
Yeah, so think about the areas nobody pays attention to, right? So typically what you're seeing if you come into a new team, they have a packed roadmap, they get a lot of support requests, and then, they execute on the roadmap. But nobody has really thought about, well, how does this actually line up with the company strategy? Can we connect that? Nobody really has thought about, do we have any KPIs? Like we're executing on this roadmap. How do we measure the impact of that? And it's actually quite easy to define a first set of, success metrics and then get the team deliver against them, right? Also, just basic stuff like talking to your developers, to your customers, and just spending maybe, the first few weeks, 3-4 interviews per week. Not a lot of work, right? And then suddenly you get this perspective that others don't have. So I think you have to bring to the table some novel insights that they were not aware of, right? And you will see that they crave for this. They really do, right? They want those insights. And a lot of times there are a lot of opinions, but not a lot of evidence that this is what we should do. So I think if you come in and spend a bit of time on getting those insights, thinking about what success means, and just documenting that as well, and trying to define with the team, right, what this means, that's already a quick win, right? And people will love to have some KPIs to deliver against that are meaningful as well, right? Because otherwise you deliver stuff, you don't know what's going on, you don't know, did this actually work, did it not work? So yeah, I think those are some good quick wins, right? And yeah, definitely do your homework, like really understand what's on the roadmap, why is it there, and then challenge the team. As you ask questions, why this, why that, you will see there isn't a lot of, sometimes it's just, well, we just figured that, So I think once you ask the right questions, you're going to see that, that's something I should poke at more. Or, okay, actually, this is actually something we should do. This is a good one, right? Yeah, asking questions, doing your homework, going deep, and then getting those insights to the table. And also, maybe looking a bit of what's happening outside the company. A lot of teams don't look at this all the time. So what do others do? If you have a developer portal, right? Now, what does the industry look like today? What are the best portals doing? Do we have that? Why not? These does work, like market research. There's nothing people typically do out of the box. You as a PM can do that and come, hey folks, look what I found. Like, oh, this is amazing. Thank you. So these are quick wins you can bring to the table right away.
Super interesting. I love I've probably told this anecdote, I think, in almost every one of these research interviews now, but that grilling of an engineer or a platform engineer on why is this feature on the roadmap where it is, or how did you decide on this feature? So I was talking to a platform team from probably one of the largest airlines in Europe. And I was asking about their features, how they decided on features. And they were like, oh, we picked the features. And I was like, yeah, but do you interview developers? Like, nope. I was like, so how do you do it? I was like, oh, well, we have some beers and we decide. And I was like, so you four have a beer and you decide what the features will be. And they're like, yeah.
Pretty much.
And you're like, okay. So I think that idea of a quick win being, be the first person who really comes in is like, no, let's think about why we're actually doing any of these things. Is there a clear reason? And sometimes the reason might be, our boss's boss has decided we want it, therefore we're doing it. Sometimes that's the reason and sometimes that's okay. But you'll often find that where something might sit on a roadmap isn't particularly thought out. And as a PPM, that's a great place to start and grilling into that. Yeah. I'd love to go a little bit more on some of the things you think kind of differentiate, a really good PPM from kind of a standard one. I think we've had a bit of a luxury in the space at the moment because of it's still an emerging discipline. So most of the people operating in it are like yourself, who are, very skilled when it comes to both the product side and thinking about the platform side. So what would you point out as some of the really differentiator points? Like, look, if you want to be a great PPM, you need to be doing this stuff.
Right. Yeah. So first of all, it does, of course, depend a lot on your seniority. So I wouldn't expect the same thing from an associate PM and a staff PM, right? But yeah, there are some patterns I see. I think the really strong PMs, they don't give in on that product thinking. They hold the product flag high, right? And they constantly challenge the team on what's the impact? How can we quantify that? How can we make this more objective? And again, it is really difficult. It's a constant uphill battle. But I think really being a bar raiser and coaching engineers around thinking around product and just quantifying impact beyond just like rice models or t-shirt sizes, right? Really quantifying in dollars. I think that is where a really strong platform PM shines, right? I guess another one is that having really, really good connections with the engineers, right? So, and I mean your customers and your team. So your engineers, engineering leaders, the staff engineers, and so on, they are your strongest partners. And having good connections with them is another, I think, key success criteria. And yeah, I guess really strong platform PMs are also generally really fast learners, because it is an incredibly fast changing field. Like, think about AI right now, right? It's completely disrupting how developers work. So staying on top of that, playing around with it yourself, trying to cut through the noise, trying to get where's the actual impact, right? How do you measure that? And having this huge, you have so much context, you have such a broad scope. You also have to learn fast, but also context switch a lot, right? And I think good platform PMs are also able to context switch between risk, security, engineering, big picture, go high, go deep, switch all the time, right? And trying to put yourself in the shoes of that, in that world of that risk manager or security engineer, right? And context switch there a lot. I think these are some of the, there are many more, right? But these are some of the examples where I think this is where really strong platform PMs shine.
Amazing. You know, I'm very impressed in our ability to have only mentioned AI at about 30-minute mark exactly. So I need to put in like a little animation timer on each of these research interviews to mark when we first mention AI. I think you've done the best, Lambros, of everyone. Now, I want to say a huge thank you for sharing your time with us, especially closing out the year in this way. For anyone watching this who wants to be a platform product manager, you know, Lambros has some fantastic webinars that he's done. We've also got quite a lot of content coming out between us. We'll have some nice articles, and I think there'll be a few more things I'll tease for all of you to watch this. So any closing words, Lambros?
Thanks so much having me, Sam. Yeah, I think it's an exciting field to be in, especially with the AI revolution changing everything on this field. So I think if you really understand how things work, want to use how engineers change their way of working with AI, I think that is the field to be in. Yeah, let me know if any questions. Happy to share more.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Happy New Year.